Here with Harding coach Ronnie Huckabee. A day after signing day, we're still getting some guys in. Talk about how pleased you are with your class overall.
Well, Scott, this is a great class, and we're extremely pleased, primarily because we met our needs. And, every year you go into a recruiting season, and you're like, okay, who we got to replace? Uh, who are the guys that are going to help us get to the next level? And that's what we identified way back yonder a long time ago.
Right.
And then signing day is that work coming to fruition. And we still, as you said, have a few left because of this weather that's put the middle part of the country on lockdown. We had kids that were out of school, no power, not able to fax stuff back to us. So we've still got a few out there that are really good players. But the guys that we have received paperwork on are fantastic football players. It's a good deal.
When you looked back to see what were the places where we needed to fill holes, where did you identify
Sure.
as those
Anybody
places?
that watched us last year knows that we had an extremely productive defensive line. And the great thing about that was they were great athletes, good leaders, extremely productive. The bad thing about it is they were mainly seniors. So that was a priority for us. Another priority for us was the secondary. We lost Steve Hudson. We lost Eddie Russ. We did not feel like we had enough depth at safety and corner, and so that was a priority for us. We also felt like we needed to upgrade the depth at our linebacking core, and so you hear me talking defense. So the reason why is because we lost a bunch of really good players from that side of the ball, and offensively, we lost a couple of receivers and a quarterback. Primarily that's what we lost, and so we've got a bunch of guys coming back on offense, very few on defense. So that was our focus, especially with the mid-year transfers and the guys that are going to be ready to play next year.
When you go out recruiting, what is the toughest position to find players for at the Division II level?
Well, without question, it's corner, and that's probably the answer, not just at Division II, but at most places, because the way the game is played today, your corners are so pivotal in your ability to play some man coverage and bring some pressure. And if you got really good ones, it just completely frees you up on defense. If you don't have very good ones, it completely stifles you. And so you go out there and you look for guys that are willing to tackle, that have great feet and hips, that can run, that got good ball skills, they can cover man, they can play zone, and that is a tough job. It's probably as tough a position as there is to play in the game today. And so therefore, when you start looking for those guys, they are a priority for everybody. And we're very picky about who we bring into school here at Harding as far as character issues and academics and that type of thing. So the pool is very small, and we're fortunate this year we found some really good ones.
You've told me before that you get hundreds, if not thousands, of leads on possible players. Signing classes are usually around 25 to 30.
Right.
So talk a little bit about how do you make a recruiting class? I mean, what's the organization that goes into getting those 30 guys or whatever the number is?
Well, you have to start early, and basically you start recruiting next year's class right now, or honestly even a little bit before. You start identifying guys that are fits for your program, and for us here, that includes doing our research by looking at guys' Facebook pages and those type of things. We want to find out who these young men really are, and if they belong in a place like Harding, if they have the character traits that we need for them to do well here. We get a lot of referrals. We get referrals from people that we trust. That goes into it big time. Ex-players. We have people associated with our brotherhood all over the country that will call us and say, hey, this is a kid that I'd like to recommend. And that always will move a kid to the top of the list as far as us evaluating. It doesn't mean that we'll end up recruiting him, but it will move them up as far as our evaluation. We have coaches that we have relationships with all over the country that we trust, and when they say, this is a guy that belongs to Harding, then obviously we're going to pay very special attention to that. Uh, the Arkansas kids, because we get to see them more. We'll have our senior camp, and then we'll work camps all throughout the state at other universities, and we'll get to meet those kids, and those kids are obviously very important to us. So a lot goes into it. It's a year-round process. We will narrow down from thousands to the guys that we end up signing, and it's not always, people sometimes are confused when, Coach, why didn't you take this kid? This kid was a great kid, great fit for Harding, great athlete. Well, if they're not in the right position, it doesn't matter. We may not have scholarship money for them. We don't have 85 scholarships. We can't sign 25 full scholarships. We have 36. And so there's a good possibility that one of these really good kids might come in at a time where we are full at that position. So in order for them to come and sign with us, they're going to have to take a very small amount of scholarship money. That happens a lot. Guys are willing to do that because they want what we have here at Harding, and they desire to be a part of a team like this and to get the education that's available for them here. But occasionally, it doesn't work out, and that makes us sad. But you just can't. You can't sign everybody.
Right. Let me ask you about on offense, with the unique offense that we run, the option. When you go recruiting an offensive kid, do you target kids that are in that same type of offense in high school, or is not necessarily?
Not necessarily, but we do look at those programs and talk to those coaches and say, do you have somebody that will fit? But it's primarily the type of athlete they are, whether or not they're an unselfish player, willing to sacrifice for the team. Are they physical? There are no non-physical positions on our offense. There's no position that's strictly a skill position. Everybody's got to be physical. So that's a big part of it. Are they willing to be a physical football player? Those are the things that are really more important to us, and what type of offense they played in. It does open up a lot of offensive linemen for us that would not be recruited by other people. We're much more concerned about an offensive lineman's athleticism than we are about their size. And you can look at our class and see that it's reflected by that.
How do you project a kid that might play a certain position in high school to where they would play in college? Because not all high school linebackers are not necessarily college linebackers.
Right. Well, it's really true that on defense especially, a lot of times you move from the back down. Corners in high school may play safety in college. Safeties in high school may play linebacker in college. Big linebackers in college may play on the defensive line.
Yeah.
And the slow defensive lineman moves to offensive line.
Okay.
That's kind of the way it works. What we do is we look for basic football skills. Can they move? Can they change directions? Do they have good hips? That's how you kind of project where they will be. Are they physical? Do they use their hands well? Are they a good tackler? I heard Jolie Dunn say a long time ago, said, if you want to be good on defense, you better recruit kids that can tackle, because, and that is true. They have to be able to tackle, and they have to be willing to tackle. And so that's really important when you're doing that. So being able to kind of project a kid sometimes is a little bit of a guessing game, but a lot of time it's based on, our experience in evaluating players and then what we see them able to do athletically.
Well, Coach Huck, we appreciate your time, and thanks for explaining a lot of this stuff that some of us may not see from the outside.
My pleasure.
All right.